Hello there, a very good morning and welcome to another edition of the Talk of the Town. Joining us this morning is attorney at law Lihini Fernando, former municipal councillor of the Moratuwa Municipal Council, also a candidate of the local government elections that hopefully will be held soon. Lihini, are you still a candidate?
Yes, I'm a candidate because the candidacy has not been annulled. So, hoping that the election will happen at some point.
But Lihini, now, when Sri Lanka is preparing for an election or in the election period, as we call, we're in the election period right now because nominations have been announced. The election is due to take place. There are certain laws that prevent candidates from accepting government positions, being given positions like commissioners, director generals, governors even. But those laws seem to be ineffective right now, don't you think?
Yeah. So we see a lot of, elections have been declared, but then, for name's sake, yes, the elections, but then we don't see the government's interest to actually have elections, which is a sad fact. Now, local councils, the term has expired a year ago and elections are due to happen. But the dangerous part right now, Sharan, is that, we have a set of commissioners around the country now who are running these councils. But then the ex-mayors, they themselves, though they are not appointed, but they are assisting these commissioners. So it's in hindsight, it's like there is another unauthorized body that is functioning, which does not have the mandate of the people, which is far more dangerous and detrimental, which we don't see. I mean, and also you see the local government, local areas like things like garbage cleaning, dengue eradication, area cleaning, things of that nature is not happening as the way that it's supposed to happen. So I think there is a total collapse of the system, and it is important that elections are held and these bodies are reconstituted, because at the end of the day, what I always say is politicians are temporary custodians. They're not here forever, but then people's sovereign right must always be upheld, and people must be given the right to decide who they want to govern them. But then right now what we see is, various stories being brought forward saying, you don't have money to have elections. But then it's the government is expected to declare monies through the budgets, which they have also been declared, but which they don't want to utilize. I mean, we're talking about a massive defense budget in this country, but you just don't have 10 billion to have an election. I mean, who are we fooling?
Lihini, we've been talking about a government of the people, by the people, for real people who really care about this country to rise up the ranks of the political authority. And we saw a lot of new people, a lot of young people fielding themselves as candidate for this local government election. They started their campaigns, they spent on their campaigns. Now, these are people who do not necessarily have a lot of money to spare. But now everything has been bulldozed for these people. Now I know, Lihini, you have been a politician for quite some time. You've been in the municipal council. What is the situation like for those people, these candidates that I'm pretty sure have come from the SJP, from the SLPP, across all parties? What do these candidates feel like, Lihini?
It is actually unfair because once you declare an election, you're expected to run an election campaign, and we saw people, actually putting posters, putting cutouts, putting election officers, spending money, and then all of a sudden everything is being stopped simply because the government does not want to have elections. So I mean, either if they're declaring elections, they must go ahead with elections, but then we don't see that coming. So it is very unfair from a contestant's point of view, because they are expected to spend, and the parties expect candidates to spend as well, and then again there are no elections and you don't see any results. So I think it's quite unfortunate that we are in a situation like this and we don't see an election coming anytime soon either. I mean, this local council, they have brought in this delimitation act, and areas have been changed, and there's discussions that have been going on again about the delimitation in these local council areas, and even the same thing happened in the provincial council as well, the delimitation which was brought in, and no one talks about it. So the act itself says, section 3 of the act says that if there's a delimitation proposal which is being brought forward, you can't have elections until that is resolved. So I mean, you are looking at another dead local councils for a couple of years until the parliament decides that they want to debate and take this delimitation matter sorted. So today I don't think there is actually who is governing us. who is the political authority that is governing us? I mean, you have a certain set of people who are sitting in parliament, also who is also not the earlier parliament. People have crossed over. There's no 2/3 there. Namesake, there are 134 who appointed the president. So everything, there's no legitimacy in the way we are being governed today. So I would say there is